All right, welcome to your new unit on factoring, trinomials. We know what a trinomial is, and you should know what the word factor means. A factor is part of a multiplication problem. And then trinomial we've been dealing with in the last unit on polynomials. So let's look at this together. In this unit, we're going to start a new vocabulary, which is a quadratic function, and understanding what that is. A quadratic function is an equation of degree 2. And if you remember, this means that the highest power, or exponent, is 2. There is a quadratic standard form, and that is f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Notice I've created a different color for each part of this equation. And that's to be easier to keep track of what I am doing. So where A, B, and C are numbers with A not equal to 0. A referring to this A, not the word A. Factoring, just like we said, factor was part of a multiplication problem. So factoring is the reverse of multiplication. Which means factoring is going to be kind of like dividing, which we've done already. So we're kind of bringing back in what we've been doing with division of polynomials and bringing it back into use for factoring. So I'm going to work this example out. I'm going to answer a couple of questions on what the steps were that I did. And then we're going to do a few examples together. And then we'll do examples in class. And it's just going to be practice, practice, practice until you get good at it. All right, so my first example. Factor the trinomial 8x squared plus 30x plus 7. I'm going to begin by identifying my ABCs. So you got to know your ABCs before your 1, 2, 3s. So ABCs. My A in this case, ax squared. So my A is the number next to your x squared term. In other words, 8. My B is my number next to my x term. In this case, 30. And last, my C is just my constant, C for constant. So in this case, 7. So I know my ABCs. Once I have my ABCs down, we move on to this. Our X puzzles that we've been working on. So now you see how they come back into play with what we're doing. However, we're setting up our X puzzle. To set up my top number, it is A times C. So in other words, 8 times 7. 8 times 7 goes on top. So that's 56. So we want to find two numbers that multiply to give me 56. Obviously, 8 and 7 is 1. But we'll come back to that. And then on the bottom of this X puzzle is B. B for bottom. So two numbers that multiply to give me your top number and add to give you your bottom number. So I want to see what two numbers can give me 56. And obviously we start off with 1 times 56. 2 can go into this because 56 is divisible by 2. So 2 times, what is that? 2, 8. If you don't know, 56 divided by 2, 28. Three cannot go into 56 because my rules of divisibility for 3, if I add my two digits, so 5 plus 6, that's 11, and 11 is not a number divisible by 3. Or 56 divided by 3, it's an ongoing decimal. 4 can. I don't remember my divisibility rule for 4, but I know 4 goes into 5 once, and then that leaves 16, which means 4. So 56 divided by 4, 14. 5 cannot because it ends in 6, not 5. 6 cannot because it's not divisible by 3. In order to be divisible by 6, it has to be divisible by 3 and by 2. 7, we know can because we just did that to get 7. So 7 times 8. And then 8, we start back over. So these are all my possible combinations of 56. So now I look at my possible combinations. Is there any way that any of these pairs can somehow give me 30? Well, I know 28 and 2. If I add those two, 2 plus 28, that gives me 30. So those are my magic numbers. And they're both going to be positive because they have to stay positive in order for this to work. And so let's check. 2 times 28 should give me 56. Check. And 2 plus 28 should give me 30. Check. So as soon as I have that done, I'm creating my box. Same idea as dividing. My A term is going to go in the top left. My C term is going to go on the bottom right. But now, these guys, my magic numbers, these are what makes up the sides of the box. So that's 2x and 28x. A little different from dividing. In dividing, we didn't have these sides, or these corners. We had a side length of the box. Now we're trying to find both side lengths. So now what we got to do here, we're going backwards. We're looking at all possible combinations, either columns or rows, and seeing if there's a number that is divisible into, that can divide into both of my terms that I can pull out of the box. So you can do it wherever. I see this one over here and this one over here both as being simple. I'm going to start with this one because it was the first one that drew my attention. They both share a 7. 7 goes into 7, 7 goes into 28, and again, not an x. Because 7 does not have an x down here. So now it's just a matter of filling out the remaining of the sides. So 7 times what gives you 7? I know 7 times 1 gives me 7. Or in other words, 7 divided by 7 is 1. Now I got another number, so now I can fill out this box. What times 1 gives me 2x? Well, 2x. Focus. And lastly, what times either 7 or what times 2x gives you 8x squared? I know 4x. 4x times 2x is 8x squared. 4x times 7 is 28x. So my final answer is just writing the factors out. 2x plus 7 times 4x plus 1. And there's your answer. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me today? All right, we're going to work out the inside examples.